Okay, guys, I'm back and I'm better. All right, I'm back. Let's see here. We were in 2 Kings 3:12. 2 Kings 3:12. Oh. Right here. Boom. So, oh, no, that's 1 Kings. Okay, 2 Kings, and we left off in chapter 5. So let's go ahead with chapter 6. Let's say a prayer first, of course. Dear Heavenly Father, we ask that you give us understanding during this time of study. In Jesus' name, amen. Amen. Okay? You got to make sure y'all pray. All right, for understanding, because you can read the Bible and not understand anything. All right, let's keep going. Well, let's continue, shall I say. All right. An axe head floats. This is chapter 6, okay? I'm in the NIV Bible. I don't know what Bible you're using, but I'm in NIV Bible. The kids are asleep right now, so that's why you see me look around. Anyway. The company of the prophets said to Elisha, "Look, the place where we meet with you is too small for us." Lay down. All right, chapter 6. The company of the prophets said to Elisha, "Look, the place where we meet with you is too small for us. Let us go to the Jordan, where each of us can get a pole, and let us build a place there for us to meet." And he said, "Go." Then one of them said, "Won't you please come with your servants?" "I will," Elisha replied, and he went with them. They went to the Jordan and began to cut down trees. As one of them was cutting down a tree, the iron axe head fell into the water. "Oh, my Lord," he cried. "Oh, no, my Lord," he cried out. "It was borrowed." The man of God asked, "Where did it fall?" When he showed him the place, Elisha cut a stick and threw it there, and made the iron float. "Lift it out," he said. Then the man reached out his hand and took it. Elisha traps the blinded Arameans. Now the king of Aram was at war with Israel. After conferring with his officers, he said, "I will set up my camp in such and such place." The man of God sent word to the king of Israel, "Beware of passing that place, because the Arameans, y'all, I told y'all I'll be butchering words sometimes, okay? The Arameans are going down there." So the king of Israel checked on the place indicated by the man of God. Time and time again, Elisha warned the king so that he was on guard in such places. This enraged the king of Aram. He summoned his officers and demanded them, "Tell me, which of us is on the side of the king of Israel?" "None of us, my lord the king," said one of his officers. But Elisha the prophet, who is in Israel, tells the king of Israel the very words you speak in your bedroom. "Go find out where he is," the king ordered. "Go find out where he is," the king ordered, so I can send men and capture him." The report came back, He is in Dothan." Then he sent horses and chariots and a strong force there. They went by night and surrounded the city. When the servant of the man of God got up and went out early the next morning, an army with horses and chariots had surrounded the city. "Oh no, my lord, what shall we do?" the servant asked. "Don't be afraid," the prophet answered. "Those who are with us are more than those who are with them." And Elijah prayed, "Open his eyes, Lord, so that he may see." Then the Lord opened the servant's eyes, and he looked and saw the hills full of horses and chariots of fire all around Elisha. As the enemy came down toward him, Elisha prayed to the Lord, "Strike this army with blindness." So he struck them with blindness, as Elisha had asked. Elisha told them, "This is not the road, and this is not the city. Follow me, and I will lead you to the man you are looking for." And he led them to Samaria. After they entered the city, Elisha said, "Lord, open the eyes of these men so they could see." Then the Lord opened their eyes, and they looked, and there they were, inside Samaria. So, one thing I want to say is, sometimes we can get scared and feel like we're under attack and we're not strong enough, or we're worried about what's going to happen. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes we get entrapped with fear. But you have to remember that fear doesn't come from the Lord. Fear comes from the enemy. And the servant was so scared because he's seen all these people. So Elijah said, "Lord, open his eyes so he can see, what it's really about, what it's really looking like, so he can see how we coming. Because, baby, we coming deep." But I want y'all to remember, baby, it don't matter who coming for you. The Lord, do you know how many people is in heaven? Do you know how many angels we have? Do you know how it's thousands and thousands and thousands? Probably, because I want y'all to think about it, right? Heaven is so vast, right? If heaven is vast, don't you think that that it's filled with many protectors, to say the least? God's army ain't nothing to play with. Imagine seeing people with a sword, right, in their earthly body, right, in the physical, people, a bunch of people with swords, but then you see horses and chariots of fire, more than them. Baby, ain't nothing to be scared about. And I just want y'all to keep that in mind. When you are filled with fear, I want you to think about how the Lord is coming behind you. He don't play about you. When you a child of the Lord, can't nobody touch you, can't nobody mess with you. Okay? Keep that fear away, because fear is something that a lot of people struggle with, and that don't come from the Lord. So, do you want to be like the servant and be misled, be confused, and be scared? No, you want to be like Elisha and have assurance that God got your back, ain't nothing to worry about. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, but just keep that in mind, that God has a full army ready to protect you at any given time. All right? Okay, let's continue. When the king of Israel saw them, he asked Elisha, "Shall I kill them, my father? Shall I kill them?" "Do not kill them," he answered. "Would you kill those would you kill those you have captured with your own sword or bow? Set food and water before them so that they may eat and drink and then go back to their master." So he prepared a great fast for them, and after they had finished eating and drinking, he sent them away, and they returned to their master. So the bands of Aram stopped raiding Israel's territory. Now that's a beautiful thing, right? Because, they got delivered to the king of Israel. But here's the beautiful thing about that is Elisha decided to do good, or, kill him with kindness, basically. That in this part of the story, they killed him with kindness. And sometimes we want to react violently, or we want to react with our fleshly desires to, beat somebody up or do other things to them. Because some of y'all be having some real dark ideas of what to do to people when they make you mad or getting revenge. But sometimes it's good to kill them with kindness, baby. You know how much easier it is to go about life killing people with kindness? You know, when people look back on a situation and go, I was really hard on them during this situation and they was just so nice and I just don't understand it. Yeah, because sometimes we don't understand that, our ways and how we supposed to be is not how the world is. And sometimes that's okay. That's okay. It is what it is. But yeah, kill them with kindness. Don't try to do the most. Don't try to beat them up and give physical harm or nothing like that. Don't do that. Just kill them with kindness. You know what I'm saying? That's the best thing to do. Kindness. It can go a long way. But what I will say is, just because you try to kill somebody with kindness, or kill a situation with kindness, end something with kindness, that don't mean that person is going to be on the same page as you. Just keep that in mind too. Anyway, famine and besieged Samaria. Sometime later, Ben-Hadad, king of Aram, mobilized his entire army and marched up and laid siege to Samaria. There was a great famine in the city. The siege lasted so long that a donkey's head sold for 80 shekels of silver and a quarter of a cab of seed pods for 5 shekels. As the king of Israel was passing by on the wall, a woman cried to him, help me, my lord the king." The king replied, "If the Lord does not help you, where can I get help for you? From the threshing floor, from the winepress?" Then he asked her, What's the matter? She answered, "This woman said to me, 'Give up your son so we may eat him today, and tomorrow we'll eat my son.' So we cooked my son and ate him. The next day I said to her, 'Give up your son so we may eat him.' But she had hidden him." When the king heard the woman's words, he tore his robes. As long as he went along the wall, the people looked, and they saw that under his robes he had sackcloth on his body. He said, "May God deal with me, be it ever so severely, if the head of Elijah, son of Shaphat, remains on his shoulders today." So let's stop right there. So, first of all, the reason I kind of chuckled a little bit was because I have read this part already, and it was just funny to me when he was just like, "Girl, if the Lord can't help you, what can I do? Where you want me to get some help? You want me to pull it out the crack of my butt?" And he like, what's wrong with you anyway? What's your problem anyway? And she up here in great distress trying to find some help because they done cooked and ate her son. And here's another thing. This is how the devil deceives you. The enemy deceived her right? Use that lady to deceive her so that she can cook and eat her son. First of all, if it was me, I would have been like, we can eat your son first, and we can do my son tomorrow. I would have did the same thing. I'm not gonna lie. I would have I wouldn't say that I would eat somebody's son, but I'm saying I definitely would have been like, okay, well, yours first. Yours first, babes. But once we all think about why did she think about it? If we was gonna be full off of your son, why would I turn around and eat my son? And that is so crazy that that your son. You know how bad the famine had to be for you to be eating your kids? That's man. Okay, anyway, and then he talked about he want the head of Elisha. Why are we blaming Elisha? Why are we blaming Elisha for the famine, for your famine, for the famine that's going on? Why are we blaming Elisha? And see, this is one thing that I want people to understand too. That sometimes we blame other people for things, and that's really not who's to blame. The whole time the enemy be to blame, but you blaming the flesh and blood. All right, let's continue, okay, because I'm getting off track. Now Elisha was sitting in his house, and the elders were sitting with him. The king sent a messenger ahead, but before he arrived, Elisha said to the elders, "Don't you see how this murderer is sending someone to cut off my head? Look, when the messenger comes, shut the door and hold it shut against him. Is not the sound of his master's footsteps behind him?" While he was still talking to them, the messenger came down to him. The king said, "This disaster." The king said, sorry, y'all. The king said, "This disaster is from the Lord. Why should I wait for the Lord any longer?" Elisha replied, "Hear the word of the Lord. This is what the Lord says. About this time tomorrow, a seah of his finest flour will sell for a shekel, and 2 seahs of barley for a shekel at the gate of Samaria." The officer on whose arm the king was leaning said to the man of God, "Look, even if the Lord shall open the floodgates of the heavens, could this happen? You will see it with your own eyes," answered Elisha, "but you will not eat any of it." Now, if somebody tell you that the Lord is going to do something and you don't believe it, or you're like, okay, even then, do you really think it's going to happen? Well, now your little bit of faith, it ain't going to get you what you could have got in the first place. You see what I'm saying? Sometimes it's okay to be quiet. It's okay to be quiet. And that's why the officer should have just been quiet. He should have been quiet. Why would you say, if the floodgates of heaven is open, could this happen? The prophet just told you it was going to happen. The prophet that speaks directly from God. God talks to him and he tells you. He just told you it was going to happen and you still going to question it. You know, the way I be reading the Bible and I'll be like, these people don't be making no sense in what they be doing and saying. It's also kind of funny because it still happens today, and we still do it in smaller ways. You know, like we know that the Lord promised us good things, right, and promised us abundance of things as long as we do what we supposed to do. But we still be having a little bit of questioning, like, well, but I don't know if he's gonna do it, or I don't know, but I'm just, baby, you know. If the Lord said it, then it's true. He ain't ever made no empty promises, like I said last time. But let's keep going, okay? The sage lifted. Now there were 4 men with leprosy at the entrance of the city gate. They said to each other, "Why stay here until we die? If we say we'll go into the city, the famine is there and we will die. And if we stay here, we will die. So let's go over to the camp of the Arameans and surrender. If they spare us, we live. If they kill us, then we die." At dusk they got up and went to the camp of the Arameans. When they reached the edge of the camp, no one was there, for the Lord had caused the Arameans to hear the sound of chariots and horses and a great army, so that they said to one another, "Look, the king of Israel has hired the Hittites and Egyptian kings to attack us." So they got up and fled in the dusk and abandoned their tents and their horses and donkeys. They left the camp as it was and ran for their lives. I'm not gonna lie, God is funny for that. God is funny for that. He said, "Gotcha." Oh my gosh. my gosh. Woo, okay. Then the I'm sorry, y'all. That's just funny. God is funny, bro. That is funny. First of all, why would y'all be trying to go somewhere else anyway in the first place? Now you done came there and ain't nobody there to even help you. Clueless. And then it's funny because you thought you heard something and said something and you ran off. The armies, they thought they heard something and they ran off. The whole time, well, nothing coming to get you. Oh my gosh, that is so funny. That is so funny. That is so funny. The Lord had caused the Arameans to hear the sounds of horses and chariots and a great army, so that they would run off, because they thought that they was finna get attacked. Okay, I'm sorry. Let's move on. Let's move on. The men who had leprosy reached the edge of the camp, entered one of the tents, and ate and drank. Then they took silver, gold, and clothes and went off and hid them. They returned and entered another tent and took some things from it and hid them also. Then they said to each other, "What we're doing is not right. This is a day of good news, and we are keeping it to ourselves. If we wait until daylight, punishment will overtake us. Let's go at once and report this to the royal palace." So they went and called out to the city gates. Oh, wait, my bad. So they went and called out to the city gatekeepers and told them, "We went into the Aramean camp and no one was there, not a sound of anyone. Only tethered horses and donkeys." And sorry, y'all, my Bible print is in small print, and I'm really supposed to have reading glasses. So if you see me stumble and I go like this, it's because I'm trying to hone in on the word. You know, don't judge. All right. We went into the Aramean camp and no one was there, not a sound of anyone. Only tethered horses and donkeys and tents left just as they were. The gatekeepers shouted the news, and it was reported within the palace. The king got up in the night and said to his officers, "I will tell you what the Arameans have done to us. They know we are starving, so they have left the camp to hide in the countryside, thinking they will surely come out, and then we will take them alive and go and get into the city." Real quick, if they seen their tethered horses and donkeys, why they didn't take them with them to cook them and eat them? Why they didn't take, that's another thing. Sometimes God puts things right in front of us, a source for us, or put something right in front of us, opens a door for us, put something right in front of us, and we deny it. If they could have took the horses and donkeys and ate them. Anyway, the king. Wait, we already read that. Okay. One of his officers answered, have some men take 5 of the horses that are left in the city. Their plight will be like that of all the Israelites left here. Yes, they will only be like all these Israelites who are doomed. So let us send them to find out what happened. Wow. You would think that they would have a lot more hope and a lot more faith. That right there is an example of not having faith and not having hope. Like, they're just like, we're all doomed and nobody's trying to help us. I don't see nobody calling on God right now. That's what I'm not seeing. I'm not seeing nobody calling on God. I'm not seeing nobody praying. Let's continue. So they selected 2 chariots with their horses, and the king sent them after the Aramean army. He commanded the drivers, "Go and find out what has happened." They followed them as far as the Jordan, and they found the whole road strewn with the clothing and equipment the Arameans had thrown away in their headlong flight. So the messengers returned and reported to the king. Then the people went out and plundered the camp of the Arameans. So a seah of his finest flour sold for a shekel, and 2 sahs of barley sold for a shekel, as the Lord had said. Now the king had put the officer on whose arm he leaned in charge of the gate, and the people trampled him in the gateway, and he died, just as the man of God had foretold when the king came down to his house. It's not funny, but it's funny. But I want you to think about it, right? The officer is supposed to be a protector, right? He's supposed to be one of the protectors. But how can you protect anything if you're not protecting it with God? If you're not, you know what I'm saying? If you're not putting God at the forefront of that. You can't put God at the forefront of that if you don't even have the faith that he's going to do what he said he's going to do. You know what I'm saying? So there he is, supposed to be a protector at the gate, and he got trampled on. Anyway, let's keep going. It's not funny, but dang. Okay. About this time tomorrow, a sale of finest flour will sell for a shekel, and 2 seahs of barley for a shekel at the gate of Samaria. The officer had said to the man of God, "Look, even if the Lord shall open the floodgates of heaven, could this happen?" The man of God had replied, "You will see it with your own eyes, but you will not eat any of it." And that is exactly what happened to him. For the people trampled him in the gateway, and he died. All right, chapter 8, the Shunammite's land restored. Now Elisha had said to the woman whose son he had restored to life, "Go away with your family and stay for a while wherever you can, because the Lord has decreed a famine in the land that will last 7 years." The woman, guys, I need you to be quiet. The woman proceeded to do as the man of God said. She and her family went away and stayed in the land of the Philistines 7 years. At the end of the 7 years, she came back from the land of the Philistines and went to appeal to the king for her house and land. For her house and land. The king was talking to Gehazi, the servant of the man of God, and had said, "Tell me about all the great things Elisha has done." Just as Gehazi was telling the king how Elisha had restored the dead to life, the woman whose son Elijah had brought back to life came to appeal to the king for her house and land. Gehazi said, "This is the woman, my lord the king, and this is her son whom Elijah restored to life." The king answered the woman about it, and she told him. Then he assigned an official to her case and said to him, "Give back everything that belonged to her, including all the income from her land from the day she left the country until now." Wow. So here's another thing, guys. You remember in my last Bible study when I was talking about seeking God first, and remember when her son had died, she went to go seek God first, right? And so her seeking God first not only brought her son back to life, but now she's able to keep her home, her land, and get all the income from the day that she left up until now. You see what I'm saying? So you know how there's domino effects of making bad decisions. There's also domino effects of seeking God first. So God will bless you later on down the line too, even when you not even think about it. You know what I'm saying? Just wanted to point that out. Okay, let's keep going. Hazael murders Ben-Hadad. Elisha went to Damascus, and Ben-Hadad, king of Aram, was ill. When the king was told, "The man of God has come all the way up here," he said to Hazael, is it Hazael or Hazel? Hazael or Hazel? I'm going to say Hazael because that sounds more like what it would be. Okay, so the man of God has come all the way up here. He said to Hazael, "Take a gift with you and go meet the man of God. Consult the Lord through him. Ask him, will I recover from this illness?" Hazael went to meet Elisha, taking with him a gift, taking with him as a gift 40 camel loads of all the finest wares of Damascus. He went in and stood before him and said, "Your son Ben-Hadad, king of Aram, has sent me to ask, will I recover from this illness?" Elisha answered, "Go and say to him, you will certainly recover. Nevertheless, the Lord has revealed to me that he will in fact..." Wait. Elisha answered, Go and say to him, you will certainly recover. Nevertheless, the Lord has revealed to me that he will in fact die." He stared at him with a fixed gaze until Hazael was embarrassed. Then the man of God began to weep. "Why is my Lord weeping?" asked Hazael. "Because I know the harm you will do to the Israelites." He answered, you will set fire to their fortified places, kill their young men with the sword, dash their little children to the ground, and rip open their pregnant women. Hazael said, how could your servant, a mere dog, accomplish such a feat? The Lord has shown me that you will become king of Aram, Elisha answered Elijah. Then Hazael left Elisha and returned to his master. When Ben-Hadad asked, what did Elisha say to you? Hazael replied, he told me that you would certainly recover. But the next day he took a thick cloth, soaked it in water, and spread it over the king's face so that he died. Then Hazael succeeded him as king. Y'all, I'm left for words. What? Y'all be thinking that movies and books be the best thing ever, but I'm telling you, the Bible, it be having every genre of book and movie you could think of. This is crazy. This is crazy. This is usually. So I'm gonna talk to y'all. This is usually like when I come across like these parts of the Bible. This is usually when I talk to God and be like, God, that's so crazy. But like this is insane. Like that is, and then it's so sad because, dang, like like oh. So the king would have recovered, but Hazael was evil. That's evil. Did he not want him to recover? What was the point in Hazael even going if he was gonna kill the king anyway? What was the point in him going if he was gonna kill the king anyway? You come into play in God's face asking this and that when you was gonna kill him anyway. So what I'm assuming is that Hazael already had plans and intentions to kill the king. He already had a plan to kill the king. Because Lord, that is so crazy. So he would have recovered, but Hazael murked him. And then you up here playing innocent, talk about how could your servant, a mere dog, accomplish such a feat? Y'all so irritated. Like that just really like blew me. Cause what? I can't believe that. I mean, I believe it, but I'm just saying, man, that's crazy. That's crazy. That is crazy. He up here, he gonna come back. So what did he say? He said you'll recover. But then the next day, took a thick cloth, soaked it in water, and spread it over the king's face so that he died. Oh, those outfits are so cute. Your shirt's inside out, though.
That's so cute. Inside out.
That is so cute. Okay, go back to your room. I'm Bible studying, but that's so cute. That is adorable. I like your outfits. Okay, let's continue, y'all. But I'm still stuck on that. I cannot believe that, but let's continue. Joram, king of Judah. In the 5th year of Joram, son of Ahab, king of Israel, when Jehoshaphat was king of Judah, Joram, son of Jehoshaphat, began his reign as king of Judah. He was 32 years old when he became king, and he reigned in Jerusalem 8 years. He followed the ways of the king of Israel, as his house of Ahab had done, for he married a daughter of Ahab. He did evil in the eyes of the Lord. Nevertheless, for the sake of his servant David, the Lord was not willing to destroy Judah. He had promised to maintain a lamp for David and his descendants forever. In the time of Joram, Edom rebelled against Judah and set up its own king. They always rebelling, man. Anyway, and set up its own king. So Joram went to Joram went to Zer with all his chariots. The Edomites surrounded him and his chariot commanders, but he rose up and broke through by the night. His army, however, fled back home. To this day, Edom has been in rebellion against Judah. Libnah revolted at the same time. As for the other servants of Joram's reign, and all he did, they are not written in the book of annals of the kings of Judah. Joram rested with his ancestors and was buried with them in the city of David. And Uzziah his son succeeded him as king. You would think that you know what's crazy? You would think that people would move differently. Like in the Bible, you would think that people would move differently just because of like all the major things that happen that proves that the Lord is God, and but they don't care. They still rebel. They still make their own statues, and they still rebel and say, I don't want to do what you do, and I'm gonna go do my own thing. Whatever. Anyway, let's continue. 1 second. Okay. Excuse me. In the 12th year of Joram, son of Ahab, king of Israel, Uzziah, son of Joram, king of Judah, began to reign. Uzziah was 20 years old when he became king, and he reigned in Jerusalem 1 year. His mother's name was Athaliah. His mother's name was Athaliah, a grandmother of Omri, king of Israel. He followed the ways of the house of the Ahab and did evil in the eyes of the Lord, as the house of Ahab had done, for he was related by marriage to Ahab's family. Uzziah went with Joram, son of Ahab, to war against Hazael. I think I said Hazael. To war against Hazael, king of Aram, at Ramoth Gilead. The Arameans wounded Joram, so King Joram returned to Jezreel to recover from the wounds of the Arameans from the wounds the Arameans had inflicted on him at Ramoth in his battle with Hazael, king of Aram. Then Uzziah, son of Joram, king of Judah, went down to Jezreel to see Joram, son of Ahab, because he had been wounded. Jehu, anointed king of Israel. The prophet Elisha summoned a man from the company of the prophets and said to him, tuck your cloak into your belt, take this flask of olive oil with you, and go to Ramoth Gilead. When you get there, look for Jehu, son of Jehoshaphat, the son of Nimshi. Go to him, get away from his companions, and take him into an inner room. Then take the flask and pour the oil on his head and declare, this is what the Lord says, I anoint you king over Israel. Then open the door and run. Don't delay. Well, that's one way to do it. So the young prophet went to Ramoth Gilead. When he arrived, he found the army officers sitting together. I have a message for you, commander, he said. For which of us? Asked Jehu. For you, commander, he replied. Jehu got up and went to the house. Then the prophet poured the oil on Jehu's head and declared, This is what the Lord, the God over it. This is what the Lord, the God of Israel, says. I anoint you king over the Lord's people, Israel. You are to destroy the house of Ahab, your master, and I will avenge the blood of my servants, the prophets, and the blood of all the Lord's servants shed by Jezebel. The whole house of Ahab will perish. I will cut off from Ahab every last male in Israel, slave or free. I will make the house of Ahab like the house of Jeroboam, son of Nebat, and like the house of Baasha, son of Ahijah. As for Jezebel, dogs will devour her on the plot of ground at Jezreel, and no one will bury her. Then he opened the door and ran. When Jehu went out to his fellow officers, one of them asked him, Is everything all right? Why did this maniac come to you? Oh my gosh, I'm not gonna lie, y'all. I would think that man is crazy too, because why did you just run up in here and you want to talk to him, and then you go in there and talk to him, and then you just run out and leave? I would have been like, what's T? What's going on? Do you know him? What happened? What'd he say? Okay, anyway. Okay, where was we at? Okay, yeah, right here. You know the man and the sort of things he says, Jehu replied. You know the man and the sort of things he says, Jehu replied. That's not true, they said. Tell us. Jehu said, here is what he told me. This is what the Lord says. I anoint you king over Israel. They quickly took their cloaks and spread them under him on the bare steps. Then they blew the trumpet and shouted, Jehu is king. Jehu killed Joram and Uzziah. So Jehu, son of Jehoshaphat, the son of Nimshi, conspired against Joram. Now Joram and all Israel had been defending Ramoth Gilead against Hazael, king of Aram. But King Joram had returned to Jezreel to recover from the wounds of the Arameans, the Arameans had inflicted on him in the battle of Hazael, king of Aram. Jehu said, "If you desire to make me king, don't let anyone slip out of the city to go and tell the news in Jezreel." Then he got into his chariot and rode to Jezreel. Because Joram was resting there, and Uzziah, king of Judah, had gone down to see him. See how the Lord be putting everybody where they need to be at the perfect time? When the lookout standing on the tower, okay, I swear y'all, I'm not slow. It's just the way that it's written in my book. It's toe and then dash ER. But I'm not slow, okay? When the lookout standing on the tower in Jezreel said, "I can't read. I don't know what it is. Like I can't read today. Let's try this again." Okay. When the lookout standing on the tower in Jezreel saw Jehu's troops approaching, he called out, I see some troops coming. Get a horseman, Joram ordered. Send him to meet them and ask, "Do you come in peace?" The horseman rode off to meet Jehu and said, "This is what the king says. Do you come in peace?" "What do you have to do with peace?" Jehu replied. "Fall in behind me." The lookout reported, "The messenger has reached them, but he isn't coming back." So the king sent out a second horseman. When he came to them, he said, "This is what the king says. Do you come in peace?" Jehu replied, "What do you have to do with peace? Fall in behind me." The lookout reported, "He has reached them, but isn't coming back either. The driving is like that of Jehu, son of Nimshi. He drives like a maniac." Yeah, it's so funny because everybody thinks that he's a maniac. That's why I'm laughing. He drive like a maniac. He act like a maniac. And you know what's crazy? The Lord chose Jehu. The Lord chose Jehu as the king, but everybody else wouldn't dare to put him as king. You see what I'm saying? Sometimes the Lord uses people that you would be like, them? Can't be them. Whole time, it's them. Anyway. Let's continue, shall we? Let's see. Hitch up my chariot, Joram ordered. And when he hitch up my chariot, Joram ordered. And when it was hitched up, Joram, king of Israel, and Uzziah, king of Judah, rode out, each in his own chariot to meet Jehu. They met him at the plot of the ground that had belonged to Naboth the Jezreelite. When Joram saw Jehu, he asked, "Have you come in peace, Jehu?" Well, when Joram saw Jehu, he asked, "Have you come in peace, Jehu?" "How can there be peace?" Jehu replied. "As long as all the idolatry and witchcraft of your mother Jezebel around." Joram turned about and fled, calling out to Uzziah, "Treachery, Uzziah!" Then Jehu drew his bow and shot Joram between the shoulders. The arrow pierced his heart, and he slumped down in his chariot. Jehu said to BIG.E, his chariot officer, "Pick him up and throw him on the field that belonged to Naboth the Jezreelite. Remember how you and I were riding together in the chariots behind Ahab, his father, when the Lord spoke this prophecy against him? Yesterday I saw the blood of Naboth and the blood of his sons, declares the Lord. And I will surely make you pay for it on this plot of ground, declares the Lord. Now then, pick him up and throw him on that plot in accordance with the word of the Lord." When Uzziah, king of Judah, saw what had happened, he fled up the road to Beth Hagan. Jehu chased him, shouting, "Kill him too." They wounded him in his chariot on the way up to Gur near Iblim, but he escaped to Megiddo and died there. His servants took him by chariot to Jerusalem and buried him with his ancestors in his tomb in the city of David. In the 11th year of Joram, son of Ahab, Uzziah had become king of Judah. That's in parentheses, y'all. Okay. Jezebel killed. Then Jehu went to Jezreel. When Jezreel heard about it, she put on eye makeup, arranged her hair, and looked out of the window. Girl, what is you getting ready and getting dressed up for? Putting on makeup, arranging your hair, and you looked out the window. Girl, do you know what's coming for you? Anyway. Y'all, this is how I think in my mind when I'm Bible studying. And you know, Bible study is a serious thing, but I also want it to be something that you can enjoy. I don't want it to feel heavy. I don't want it to feel too serious. I want it to be understanding. And I want it to be like we're reading together as friends. You know, me and you are friends. You, whoever's watching this, we're friends. And so we're reading together. And this is how I talk with my friends. This is how I talk to myself. This is how I talk to my God. You know what I'm saying? And this is when I'm reading, I do stop and say these things in my head or out loud. And when me and my husband read together, I'll stop and say the same things, so yeah. Guys, can you quiet down, please? Okay, yeah, so let's start over. Where was she at? Okay, yeah, so she put her eye makeup on, arranged her hair, looked down at out the window. As Jehu entered the gate, she asked, "Have you come in peace, you Zimri? You murderer of your master. Have you come in peace, you Zimri, you murderer of your master?" He looked up at the window and called out, "Who is on my side? Who?" Two or three eunuchs looked down at him. "Throw her down," Jehu said. So they threw her down. Y'all, "Have you come in peace, you Zimri, you murderer of your master?" He looked up at the window and called out, "Who is on my side? Who?" Two or three eunuchs looked down at him. So when she said that to him, he looked up at where she was standing and said, "Which one of y'all on my side?" And they looked like me. I'm on your side. You know what I'm saying? But they ain't say nothing. They just looked down like, and they said, "Throw her." He said, "Throw her down." And they threw her down. They said, "Finally, because we tired of her." Pushed her. Anyway, let's continue. So they threw her down, and some of her blood splattered on the wall, and the horses as they trampled her underfoot. Dang. It's one thing to get it pushed out the window, but then you're getting trampled on by horses too? Dang. Anyway, Jehu went in and ate and drank. Take care of that cursed woman, he said, and bury her, for she was a king's daughter. But when they went out to bury her, they found nothing except her skull, her feet, and her hands. Dang. This is the word of the Lord that he spoke through his servant Elijah the Tishbite. On the plot of ground at Jezreel's dogs will devour Jezebel's flesh. Jezebel's body will be like dung on the ground in the plot of Jezreel, so that no one will be able to say, "This is Jezebel." What I tell y'all, when the Lord say something gonna happen, it's gonna happen. When he says it's gonna happen a certain way, that's what it's gonna be. All right, y'all, we are on this is chapter 10 now. Okay. I don't know. I'm gonna just keep reading till I wake up. The baby sleep, y'all. So Ahab's family killed. This is chapter 10. Okay, we're in chapter 10 now. 2 Kings chapter 10 verse 1. Let's regroup. Now there were in Samaria 70 sons of the house of Ahab. So Jehu wrote letters and sent them to Samaria, to the officials of Jezreel, to the elders, and to the guardians of Ahab's children. He said, "You have your master's son with you, and you have chariots and horses, and a fortified city and weapons. Now, as soon as this letter reaches you, choose the best and most worthy of your master's sons, and set him on his father's throne. Then fight for your master's house." But they were terrified and said, if 2 kings could not resist them, how can we? So the palace administrator, the city governor, the elders, and the guardians sent this message to Jehu. We are your servants and will do anything you say. We will not appoint anyone as king. You do whatever you think is best. Then Jehu wrote them a second letter saying, if you are on my side and will obey me, take the heads of your master's sons and come to me in Jezreel by this time tomorrow. Now the royal princes, 70 of them, were with the leading men of the city who were rearing them. When the letter arrived, these men took the princes and slaughtered all 70 of them. They put their heads in baskets and sent them to Jehu in Jezreel. When the messenger arrived, he told Jehu, they have brought the heads of the princes. Then Jehu ordered, put them in 2 piles at the entrance of the city gate until the morning. The next morning Jehu went out. He stood before all the people and said, you are innocent. It was I who conspired against my master and killed him. But who killed all these? Know then that not a word the Lord has spoken against the house of Ahab will fail. The Lord has done what he announced through his servant Elisha. So Jehu killed everyone in Jezreel who remained of the house of Ahab, as well as all his chief men, his close friends, and his priests, leaving him no survivor. Jehu then set out and went toward Samaria. At Beth-Eked, is it Beth-Eked or Beth-Eked, y'all? Y'all let me know in the comments. At Beth-Eked of the shepherds, Beth-Eked? I don't know. At Beth-Eked of the Beth-Eked? At Beth-Eked of the shepherds, he met some relatives of Uzziah, king of Judah, and asked, who are you? They said, we are relatives of Uzziah, and we have come down to greet the families of the king of the... Hi, baby girl. Hi there. Hi. All right, y'all. Let's finish up chapter 10. It's going to be last. My baby need a diaper change, and she's up now, so y'all know how that go. Where are we at? Jehu then set out and went toward Samaria. At Beth-Eked and the shepherds he met some relatives of Uzziah, king of Judah, and asked, who are you? They said, we are relatives of Uzziah, and we have come down to greet the families of the king and of the queen mother. Take them alive, he ordered. So they took them alive and slaughtered them by the well of Beth-Eked, 42 of them. He left no survivor. After he left there, he came upon Jehonadab. Okay. After he left there, he came upon Jonadab, son of Rechab, who was on his way to meet him. Jehu greeted him and said, are you in accord with me, as I am with you? I am, Jehonadab. Y'all, this name, Jehonadab. Okay, I don't know, y'all. Jehonadab. I am, Jehonadab answered. If so, said Jehu, give me your hand. So he did, and Jehu helped him up on the chariot. Jehu said, come with me and see my zeal for the Lord. Then he had him right along in his chariot. When Jehu came to Samaria, he killed all who were left there of Ahab's family. He destroyed them according to the word the Lord had spoken to Elijah. All right, y'all, and that completes Bible study. The Lord had already told me that chapter 10 was going to be the last chapter, which is funny because that was 5 chapters, and me and the Lord have a special thing with the number 5, but that's not for y'all, that's for me. But anyway, the Lord had already told me that chapter 10 was going to be our last chapter of this Bible study. The baby girl is up, and I still have other stuff to do around the house, so I got my word in, y'all got y'all word in, you know what I'm saying? We both did our Bible study, we got our words in, and so that's good. I hope that y'all enjoyed this Bible study. If there's something that you want to add in the comments, is there something that stuck out to you in the comments? If there's something that you learned in the comments, you know what I'm saying? let me know in the comments. All right, put in the comments is what I meant to say. If it's something that you learned, something that you noticed, something else you wanted to point out, if you are following along with me and you want to point something else out, go ahead and put it in the comments, because something that I might have missed, you know, you might have a different interpretation of what I'm reading, or you might have something else that stuck out to you that I didn't say. Go ahead and put that in the comments, because when other people come across our Bible study, when other people come across the Bible study, they'll be able to look in the comments and see other things that I did not say. You know what I'm saying? Which would be good for, you know, wisdom comes from the Lord, but you might got more wisdom than me. You might see something that I didn't see, you know? So yeah, thank y'all for tuning in. I love y'all. The Lord loves y'all. So until next time, remember, I love y'all, but Jesus loves y'all more. Peace.